Coming up on Sound Off Sports, Derek Carr calls it a career, but should he have called it a little bit sooner to retire a Raider? We're going to talk all about it. Plus, we'll hear from Running Rebels' new head coach, Josh Pastner. We heard from him a little bit last week. We've got more to talk about with him this week. That's how entertaining of a guy he is. Plus, Pete Rose could now be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, but does he deserve to be? We're discussing all of it right now on Sound Off Sports.
Make some noise. This is Sound Off Sports, sponsored by Sam & Ash.
Should Derek Carr have retired a Las Vegas Raider? Michael Mercourt on Facebook says, Carr will hold most of the Raiders QB records for many years. Yes, absolutely should be retired as a Raiders player.
Welcome inside the den here at Fox 5 Studios for Sound Off Sports. Now, I know what you're all thinking. That's not Mike Davis. And you are correct. I am not Mike Davis. I am Mariah Janos, but I am joined by our one steadfast, constant factor on this show, and that would be this guy right here, James Edward Barrickman IV, as I like to call him, Jimbo Slice.
How's it feel to be in the big dog chair?
You know, it feels amazing. It feels right. So we might not ever see Mike again, and that's okay.
He might let you just have it.
Yeah, that's
All
okay.
right.
Take a load off his plate.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind that.
I'm so used to carrying the team. Anywho, all right, let's get into what's going on today's show. We're going to hear from Run Rebels head coach Josh Pastner. He is back to join us for a little part 2 sesh with all things Running Rebels, and then we are getting into the Pete Rose of it all. Should he be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame now that he is a goner? Oh, well, I know it's kind of bleak, but we're going to start with something a little bit better. Someone that we know very well here in Las Vegas. Derek Carr announcing his retirement not too long ago after 9 seasons with the Raiders, 2 seasons with the Saints. He is calling it a career. And now the question on all of our minds is, should he have just called it a career as a Raider? Should he retire a Raider? Should he come back a day, join the Raiders, and retire as a part of the Silver and Black? He meant so much to this franchise, to this fan base, broke basically all of the passing records.
Holds like every single one. Well, every major
Every
passing
single
record
one.
for
And I
Raiders,
understand that it might not be the hardest thing to accomplish given
of
the
course.
Raiders'
Right.
history. But, you know, it is just a very tumultuous ride that Derek Carr had here with the Raiders. You know, at first he was celebrated, and then the way he got treated towards the tail end of it all makes you wonder.
I think the fan base is still very much pro Derek Carr for the most part, it feels like. And as we learned when we were asking this question, they kind of have directed their vitriol, their hate towards another guy.
Yeah.
Keith Jackson on Facebook says, can't blame him if he doesn't after how he was treated by
Well, I would have to agree there. Josh McDaniels kind of came in and just ruined everything.
Well, what? Right before he was set to be due $40 million, instead of waiving his no-trade clause, they cut him. They tried to trade him, but he didn't want to waive his no-trade clause.
Right, and they also didn't want to pay him. And I get that whole aspect of it, but for someone who has given his loyalty to a franchise, who said it wasn't about the money, he would have just stuck around to be here and end his career here, why not give him the benefit of the doubt? McDaniels, you just got here at that point. Who do you think you are to do this? And also just the way that season closed out. Benched Carr for the last 2 games of the season. At that point, it's already a wash.
For what was...
Jarrett Stidham. And
right.
this goes back to my whole gripe with McDaniels as a Patriots fan. When he came out to Vegas, he tried to make the Raiders the Patriots of the West, right? It was every player that he had a connection to from his past life he tried to implement, and Jarrett Stidham was drafted by the Patriots.
Has the Patriot way worked anywhere other than New England? Has the Patriot way worked in New England without Tom?
I knew you were about to ask that question, and I hate it because I hate to talk bad about Bill, but Bill is really digging himself into a hole these days, so I can't even go into that right now. But yeah, I mean, the Patriot way is a very specific way. I think we're going to see more of it now that Vrabel is the head coach. He knows what the Patriot way is. He did it right. He brought it down to Tennessee. He brought it back up to New England.
But Mike Vrabel's his own guy.
He's his own guy. He's going to put a twist on it, but, you know, his coach was the big man.
Of course.
But Josh McDaniels, yeah, he really just failed epically and upset a lot of people when he had to earn the respect of the Raiders fans, and he just did not even bother trying.
It feels like Derek Carr's career, as good as it was with the Raiders, it feels like there was a lot left on the table. I think, and I'm going to come out and say this, I think there was a time where you could have won a Super Bowl with Derek Carr as your starting QB. Somewhere from about 2015 to 2021, where he was throwing for 4,000 yards a year, like 25 passing touchdowns or 30 or so. I think you could have won a Super Bowl with Derek Carr, but the Raiders were just never able to put the pieces around him and put him in a position to be able to do that. Of course, a lot of people disagree with me on that, but that is genuinely how I feel. And I also
But look at San Francisco. San Francisco's a prime example. You build around it. It really doesn't matter who's under center.
Exactly. And I think I'm going to come out and say this too. There's an argument to be made that Derek Carr is the greatest quarterback in Raiders history. Better than Gannon, better than Plunkett. Yes, he doesn't have the Super Bowls, but he does have all the records. So I think Derek Carr deserved to be treated a little bit better with how he left. I would have liked to see him retire a Raider, come back for a day, sign a contract. You know, it's all love, hugs, and kisses on your way out. I would have liked to see that happen, but you also wonder how much time did he have to even – was that even on his mind with how quick the situation with his shoulder was evolving?
Right.
You know?
Well, that's where it's kind of a little sketchy as to the reason why he retired. Was it the injuries? Was it no other team wanted him? Was it the Saints didn't want to pay him? Was it just not worth it at this point? There are a lot of questions up in the air that, unfortunately, we just don't have time to answer, but it's a little food for thought. So we're going to head to break, but coming up, we're going to hear from Josh Pastner. He's got a lot to fill us in on when it comes to the Runnin' Rebels.
Should Derek Carr have retired a Las Vegas Raider? James Russell on X says, no, retiring from the Saints is more respectable around the league than the Raiders.
The Runnin' Rebels have officially entered the Josh Pastner era as the new bench boss for the Scarlet and Gray, and our Mike Davis caught up with him to talk all about the upcoming season.
Let's talk about this because the truth is I'm 33. I grew up on the East Coast. Since I've been here for 6 years, yes, Vegas has always been an entertainment capital of the world. And you mentioned in your presser, it's the entertainment capital of the world. It's now the sports capital of the world. But since I've been here for 6 years, it's been about the Raiders. It's been about the Aces. It's been about the fact that the Athletics are coming. It's about the Golden Knights. It's not about UNLV basketball. But the fact is, you've gotten to work quick. Miles Che, UC Irvine, a lot of big programs wanted him. He's now here. We have a transfer guy from Alabama. We got people who were coming from Arizona. We got a 7-foot, 230 guy named Emmanuel Steffen who's going to be here. We got guys who were overlooking Kamani Hamilton. Kentucky wanted him. Cincinnati, Indiana, NC State, Arkansas, Georgia. These guys are coming here now. What are you doing? What is the special sauce? Because I get the juice from, I got you. But tell everybody at home what's going on and why we got like 10, 12 guys now who are going to reignite this team.
Well, first of all, let me just say this. You talked about all the different teams here,
yes,
you know, with the Raiders and
the Knights
and the Knights. I mean, just everybody.
Yeah.
And there might be an NBA team coming into Vegas, which is probably going to happen in the next few years. So let me talk about that first. I'm a guy that looks at the glass as not half full.
No, it's
but overflowing.
Yeah,
like I look at it as overflowing. So instead of looking at that as a negative, I'm looking at that as a positive. I'm like, man, what a great selling point to say, you know, XYZ's here in this city. It's the epicenter of the sports world. It's the epicenter of the entertainment world. I mean, when you think of Las Vegas, it's worldwide. And so I'm the other way thinking, man, I think this is great to sell and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been part of a great thing of our sell in that. Now look, we've got to, in our recruiting, and a lot of the things that we were able to sell in the recruiting is look, how we want to play, style of play, what we want to do, what we're about. all the great things in Las Vegas and the surrounding areas. But I also want to say, as much as we talk about people think, and you know this, Vegas being maybe glitz and glamour, it's really a blue collar town.
Yeah.
Like, it's about putting your hard hat on, your working boots on, rolling the sleeves up. And I've got to be out there as much as I can in the trenches to try to re-energize everyone to get excited about their team, not my team, their team. And then when the product's on the floor and they're watching their team play, and of course, look, you understand because you've been in sports for your whole life. Winning solves everything. But more than that, they've got to have such enthusiasm and excitement and appreciation for their team, the way they play. And look, there's going to be nights where you're not shooting the ball well. There's going to be some times where you struggle, have an off night offensively. You can never not have an off night effort-wise. You can never not have an off night diving on that floor for that 50-50 loose ball. So when that person who's paying that money for that season ticket, or that person who's giving money for an NIL, or a family of 5 or 6 or 4 is coming to for an entertainment value, they want to see where that loose ball's right there, and they're diving 2 hands, 2 feet for that ball, because winning that possession is more important than breathing. That, to me, is what people want to see. They don't want to see anyone playing entitled. They want to see people playing with such appreciation and gratefulness on every single possession. That's how you're going to get the fans back.
James, give me the one shot right now. UNLVtickets.com. Do you hear what this guy is saying? I mean, you want to be here for these games, but here's the thing, Coach. Since Tark, that's been lost. How are you the first guy that I can see has that juice, that energy, that passion? I think it's because you have a special makeup, and I want to go to the beginning with you. So let's talk about this. So 13 years old. Okay, you grew up in the Kingwood area of Houston. Right. HOF Pastner, we already spoke about him a little bit. High top hoops, Houston hoops. He's big in the game of basketball because his children, you have a sister who is great as well at basketball. So he really took to basketball because you guys knew you wanted to do that as young kids. But at 13, ladies and gentlemen, when you're a Jewish kid at 13, you have a lot of pressure, a lot of anxiety. You got to go up on this bima. You got to start reading the Haftarah. You got to read from the Torah. You got to have a special parsha. You got to do all these things. You got to do a bar mitzvah project. While you're doing all that, you had a bar mitzvah, right?
Well, look, all those things you mentioned.
Yeah.
The doing a scouting service and trying to evaluate, like I'm 13 at the time, and you're trying to evaluate players, because here's what happened when everyone was in the gym, okay, and everyone was in the gym, and so when we play a game, because it was at that age, most people when the game's over they'd all want to go to the mall or just kind of hang out, go somewhere. I wanted to stay in the gym all day long. I was a gym rat. I loved watching basketball. So what happened is I would be in the gym and watch these games, and I started just writing down, like, hey man, I saw player A, player B, player C, and do these. And so what happened was I just developed a scouting service.
All right, great stuff there from Mike and Josh. If you want to see the full conversation, be sure to check out our YouTube page, Silver State Sports. All right, coming up, we're talking about the Pete Rose of it all. Should he be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame? We're discussing it next.
Should Pete Rose be in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Kathy Thomas on Facebook says, loved him while he played and coached, especially in Philly, but betting on baseball is a deal breaker.
Well, times they are a-changing, at least when it comes to the MLB. Commissioner Rob Manfred saying that he's made a decision that would allow Pete Rose to appear on a Hall of Fame ballot, saying, I've concluded that permanent ineligibility for the Hall of Fame ends upon the passing of the disciplined individual. Mr. Rose will be removed from the permanently ineligible list. Rose was banned in 1989 for allegations that he was betting on games when he was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. But prior to that, he was one heck of a slugger, okay? Racking up all the accolades that you can think of. All-time hit leader, 17-time All-Star MVP award, World Series winner. So he was that dude back in the day.
No question about it.
Right?
No question about it.
Now it's like, okay, well, should he be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
The rule is, like, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
okay, so now that he's dead, now we're going to put him in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And
I don't understand that at all. Is it because he was a danger to the game while he was living?
I don't think he was a danger to the game ever. If you're betting on yourself, I'm all for it. I am all for it. If you're betting on yourself, who are you hurting? That is more incentive, more motivation to win. We're not talking about the 1919 World Series, Chicago White Sox, like doing some BS that they did throwing the game. If you're throwing the game, jail, death penalty, the whole kit and caboodle. But
death penalty, okay.
No, literally lethal injection for you. If you're throwing a World Series, get out of my face.
Okay.
But betting on your team to win, that's a positive.
I'm with you 100%. And like you mentioned all his accolades. All-time hits leader, all-time leader in at-bats, whatever it may be.
Right.
What role did the betting have on any of that?
Exactly.
Answer me that question. What role did the betting have on any of that? Even if he did bet on his team as a player, as a coach, he still acquired all the statistics that you mentioned fair and square. So to me, I'm going to say this too. Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame before Clemens. He belongs in the Hall of Fame before Bonds, before McGuire, before Sammy Sosa. I think he belongs in before your boy, Big Papi.
I was going to say, and what do all those guys have in common?
They failed PED drug tests.
Exactly, okay? And I feel like this is just solely like an older generation take of like, don't let him in because they're being Krabby Patties, and we are now in the era of legalized sports betting. So maybe we just don't see it as big of a deal.
Right, and it was widely outlawed back then,
it
too,
was
when he
exactly.
doing it, right.
But I was reading someone, and someone said, all right, let's let in the 2017 Astros. Okay, like, no, like, that's taking it too far. He was not, like, cheating. He was just confident in his team's ability to win.
He wasn't doing anything that affected the play on the field. He wasn't banging on trash cans.
Right.
He wasn't juicing to up his abilities. I think he should have been in from the day he was eligible, but obviously I'm probably one of the few people who feel that way.
No, I completely agree with you. And this was something that he had been fighting for up until literally the day he died.
Yeah.
Which I think is so sad. Okay, once you kick him out, sure, you want to wait some time, let there be a little grace period before inducting him.
Give him the TO treatment a little bit.
Yeah, let everyone cool off, let the temper settle, let's all relax.
Time heals all wounds.
Exactly.
Yep.
We're gonna wait, like the man is begging on his deathbed and you're still like, no, we'll wait till you kick the bucket to give you what you want so you can't even see it come to fruition. I think that's just not fair. And you know what, Jim? I bet on myself every day. Did Fox 5 fire me? Have they fired me? I bet on myself every morning.
Where do I find those lines at? What book?
Okay, you know what I mean, though, like
I
metaphorically speaking. But if I were to put some money on it, I should be getting paid for accomplishing what I think I'm going to accomplish. Okay?
Okay.
That's how I feel.
I'll give you that. I'm not sure those are the same thing.
It is the same thing, okay? It's performance-based.
Okay.
But yeah, so moral of the story is Pete Rose should be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Should have been inducted 20 years ago. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And we have more to discuss coming up next. We've got Sink or Swim. Some more hot takes coming your way.
Should Pete Rose be in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Destry Rainzier on Facebook says he should never have been banned. At the very least, his ban should have been lifted once they let the steroid players in or didn't kick them out. I'm okay with an asterisk next to his name to let people know he did something that wasn't allowed, but he did some very special things that are Hall of Fame worthy.
We're closing it out with a little Sink or Swim. Opening weekend in the WNBA was nothing short of entertaining, and it starts with the matchup between the Fever and the Sky, most notably Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, getting into it, and everybody and their mother having something to say about it, saying it's malicious, it's racist, it's this, it's that. It has gotten very much out of hand.
The Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese discussion
I'm
has
over
gone
it.
totally off the rails.
We're through a full season of it, and now we're on to year 2.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, when are we just going to let two great players just have a great rivalry?
Play the game.
This should be the W's version of Magic and Bird.
Yeah.
This is what should take the WNBA's ratings over the top and put them into a category that they really haven't seen before. I mean, that game alone, what was it? They set a viewership record on ESPN with 3.1, 3.2 million viewers at one point. Just let these girls play. Not everything has to be a think piece on.
I know.
On race?
Right. We didn't need to get into it. Like, we could have just kept it out as it was. The way I saw it in my eyes was Angel Reese shoved Natasha Howard, was going up and grabbing a rebound. Caitlin Clark then fouls her to put her at the line, and Angel Reese flopped, and it turned into a whole dang thing.
I don't think she flopped. I think that was a very. I think that was a good hard foul on.
You think that should have been a flagrant? Really?
I think it was worthy of a flagrant.
I do not.
I think it was a good hard foul. Obviously, you don't want to give Angel Reese a clean look at the bucket,
right?
But I think it was definitely worthy of a flagrant.
I think it was a common foul, but that's neither here or there.
Whatever.
Either way, it's basketball, and why make it anything more than that? I think
this is a good thing.
This is a
great thing.
This is a great thing. We want to see tempers flaring. We want to see attitude. We want to see all of these things when we're watching a game, right? Whether it's men or women on the court. I think with men, it's a little bit more.
We see it in the
accepted.
NBA all the time.
We see it constantly. Draymond Green. Hey,
why is it any different at the W?
And that's the thing, and that's what's so frustrating is that these women are expected to act in a different way, and at the end of the day, they are competitors. They let their emotions get the best of them, and they're gonna freak the F out sometimes. So it's just very frustrating that they're being held in a different light to a different standard. But that is gonna do it for us on Sound Off Sports. I'm Mariah Janos. That's James Edward Barrickman IV. I hope you enjoyed this party.